At the April 20th Lansing City Council meetings, the council passed ordinance changes with the intention of restricting the locations of new liquor stores, so they're not built right next to each other. They voted 6-1 to put the sale of the building currently operated as the Shuffle to a citywide vote to see if the public would be interested in selling this public asset. They wrote a letter opposing federal legislation aimed at restricting voting rights, and they started the process to change a few things about metered parking. The Lansing Area Federal Credit Union Chief Executive Officer was appointed to the Lansing Entertainment and Public Facilities Authority, LAFQ to LEPFA, and 5 departmental budget presentations included 3 420 jokes. Welcome to What Lansing Council, a podcast transforming Monday night's Lansing City Council meetings into an enthralling recap. I am your host, Jill Dombrowski, and today my special guest is MC Rothhorn, co-owner of Eastside Compost and member of the Genesee Gardens co-housing. Thanks for being here, MC.
You're welcome, Jill. My pleasure to be here.
And you just walked right over to help me out with this project on a moment's notice. You're a true friend.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.
Say another thing that would describe Lansing for you. I remember your last time you were on here and you said home sweet home.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. It feels like it's full of friends. It feels like a place that has a lot of my friends. So my family's not far away. And I feel like I've chosen this place because there's a lot of friends and neighbors that, make it special.
Oh, my dad, when he used to answer the phone, he would say, howdy, howdy, friends and neighbors. I feel like I could see you doing that. What is something you'd hope to see change someday in Lansing?
I think some of your other guests have said something like the courage to sort of try something new or like not just sort of have to go with the, I don't know, policy or what other cities are doing. Like somehow that we would know what we as residents of and citizens of Lansing would need, and that our leadership might listen to that and actually do it. I think they do listen. I'm not suggesting that they don't listen. I just don't know that they have the political courage to risk, 60% of Lansing potentially saying, hey, wait a minute, but 40% or some significant number is going to be like, no, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's not what other cities are doing. And it might feel risky.
Yeah.
And we're asking you to do it.
Yeah.
Something like that. That courage is what I would really wish for our leadership, as well as some of the activists and the other people that are just waiting, sort of to. Yeah.
No more waiting. The time is now. The place is Lansing.
True enough. And we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Oh. Would you like to talk about the meeting now?
I would love to talk about the meeting.
Let's
Absolutely.
do it. So April 20th, Monday. We have 7 members present at the Committee of the Whole. To start us off, we have Ryan Cost representing the 1st Ward, Dayanara Navarez-Martinez of the 2nd Ward, Adam Hussein of the 3rd Ward, and Peter Spatafor, Council President, representing the 4th Ward. Our at-large members are Tamara Carter, Jeremy Garza was absent, Clara Martinez, and Council Vice President Trini Pelivanoglu. Also, Greg Venker, the City Attorney, Sherry Boak, the Recording Secretary, and Mark Lawrence, the Mayor's Chief of Staff. So to start us off, we have the CEO of LAFQ, Patrick Spike, and he wants to be appointed to the LEPFA board. And again, that board oversees the Lugnut Stadium, the Convention Center, and Groesbeck Golf Course. He says LAFQ sponsors the Lugnuts. We love it. We're downtown. I'm ready. I'm in leadership like leadership should serve. So I'm here to serve. Councilmember Hussein says, great, love credit unions, love what you are doing in our community. South Lansing has some disadvantaged census tracts that can be transformed when we have good banking partners and we have financial literacy, and that's something that your union is working on. So thank you. A little grandstanding there. Martinez says, what role do you see LEPFA assets playing in the success of our city? And Spike says to provide family-friendly entertainment and a place that doesn't always have a lot of that. Baseball. Spatafor says, I got my first car loan when I was in college from you, so thank you. And Councilmember Carter says, I work for LAFQ, so I'm going to recuse myself from this vote. But he gets appointed, no problems. He's excited to see his ideas for LEPFA. Now we're into some departmental budget presentations. So we have 5. So this was a long night of budget presentations plus more things. So to start us off, we have the clerk's office and Chris Swope, our head clerk. And he's saying, just briefly, here's some things that he's doing. They're going out into the community, gathering spaces for passport registration, places like the Salas Center, the Refugee Development Center, other places to help register people who might not feel comfortable coming to City Hall to get their passports. They're having a satellite on MSU's campus for elections. So some students may be, students on MSU campus, but they live in Lansing. They don't know, like, if they live in East Lansing or Lansing. That's something that they've heard through past elections. So they're going to be there to help them out, know where they live. Let's see. One other thing he said is they've been going into all the Lansing high schools and registering new voters. So some cool stuff going on there with Swope. Then we have the Department of Neighborhoods, Arts, and Citizen Engagement with Delisa Fontaine is their department head. And she has hired a violence coordinator. So that person is doing great work. They have 2 in-person new hires for the help desk to help people in person get answers to their city questions. And their call center, 311, has had a 90% one-call resolution rate in this past year.
Wow. You know what? Can I pause there just for a minute?
Yes.
I want to lift up Chris Swope and Delisa Fontaine as 2 leaders who are, I think, listening and doing some extraordinary things that may be risky, but it seems like they're able to do it. And it feels like I just want to just say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Then we have Raleigh Van Fossen of the Economic Development and Planning Department, and he says, I have 6 divisions, the planning and zoning, parking services, building safety, code enforcement, and 2 grant-funded divisions, so that aren't part of the general budget, and those are community development, which we had Aaron on the last episode to talk, and then the Office of Financial Empowerment. So he's talking about his departments, also the parking division of his department. Their budget is in the enterprise fund, not the general fund. So it's just like, where's the monies? Some things he mentioned. Last year they had 2,000 building permits issued for over $380 million in new building in building development last year. That's a lot. Sounds like a lot to me. They have 2 new code enforcement officers, and they're using drones. They're using tablets to help do their work. So they're getting lean. They're getting it done. Council member Navarez Martinez says, talk more about the comprehensive plan. She wants to hear more about that because she's a planner. And they had a planning position open in their office. And it sounds like she had a bunch of her MSU students apply for that position. And she's like, how's it going with that? And and Raleigh's like, thanks for sending all those people over to me. And she's like, you're welcome. So that was great.
I do like Raleigh. I think he has a tough job, and it's a big
job.
And I think he's homegrown. Yeah, I know he's been helping me and some other neighbors with our Genesee neighborhood school, and sort of just keeping an eye on it, or at least helping me understand that there is interest. And when I see something or hear something that it's currently under development, but it's not clear that it's going to be for the community or for the neighborhood. So so he's a helpful listening ear, and I appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Another leader, so to speak.
Yeah. And the 4th leader of a department that we had speaking last night was Andy Kilpatrick of Public Service. And under public service is trash, recycling, engineering, roads, sidewalks, sewers, wastewater, property maintenance, and city vehicles. So all of the city vehicles are under them, even the police and the fire and everything. So he's talking about Michigan Ave redesign project is complete. Love it or hate it, we did it. And he's talking about how they're going to be using a saltwater brine solution on the icy roads in the winter this year. And they did a pilot of that, and it worked great. So that's their plan. It's going to reduce the cost of buying salt, and it's more environmentally friendly because less salt's just going right into the Great Lakes. So looking forward to seeing the salt brine being applied to the icy roads in the winter. talking about putting solar arrays up at the wastewater treatment plant. That'll offset 25% of the power needed to run the plant. They're still working on the sewer/rainwater separation. They're currently, quote, providing sewage to the river anytime we have a rain event over half an inch.
Yeah.
So, got to stop doing that.
Yeah. The sewer separation project is an ongoing. Yeah. I think it's been like, I don't know, maybe a decade, but not consistently each year.
Mm-hmm.
So can I question? So
Sure.
the city has solar arrays and Board of Water and Light has solar arrays, two separate departments, correct?
Right. Yeah. So I think Board of Water and Light. Because I was also thinking about that. As I was listening and typing the script up, just like, what is the division of labor there? It sounds like the sewer is the city public services, but the clean water is BWL.
And so the solar array would power specifically that project.
It's only the way that he said it is it's only for that wastewater treatment plant.
That's kind of neat that they can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That might be wrong.
No, and I appreciate your interpretation because it makes sense to me.
Okay.
I'm going with it.
Great. Councilmember Hussein asks a lot about the street sweeping and the washing of city vehicles. So Kilpatrick is like, they used to street sweep the main roads 8 times a year and the residential roads 4 times a year, but now they're doing like a 4 and 2. They have 3 street sweepers. And he's like, maybe we should just do the residential roads the same amount because it seems like the main roads, the stuff just gets swept up because there's so much more traffic. So talking about that.
And as a biker, it just seems like if I don't have a clear bike lane with just all the residue that's in there, like it really feels like it's not quite a bike lane.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
One of those things. It's like,
yeah.
I think I'm going to get a flat tire.
Like there is a bike lane, but it's full of glass.
Yeah, and then potholes, and then my gosh, yeah,
agreed. Lastly, for the departments, we have Human Relations and Community Services, HRCS. This is being led by Delveda Moses, and she says we're taking a collaborative approach in making significant progress in addressing homelessness. Last year they did a comprehensive study about homelessness. They talked to 600 people and 60 organizations. They were working on the Mod Pod transitional housing, the NOVA initiative, as they call it, and that's for 50 units that they have bought that will house 66 people, and they had 28 meetings to talk about this. So during cold times, they're opening up the warming centers. And then we have some questions by council members. Councilmember Martinez said, what did you learn from the Causeway Bay project?
Great question.
I thought was a good question. And HRCS said, well, that's not really the population we'll be targeting for working with the NOVA initiative. We're going to be looking at people with less complex issues. So not a lot of lessons learned that they talked about. Maybe they just didn't have any that came readily to mind, but that
sad face emoji.
It is sad face emoji. Vars Martinez says, when you have a contact management team that does an evaluation, and here I don't know what she's talking about, housing maybe, and you find issues, who are you reporting those to? The city administration? And they're like, no, we don't report to the administration, only our funding agencies. So that was like, what? I was confused there. And Vars Martinez asks again, when a decision is made to sweep a homeless encampment, how are you reaching out to people ahead of time or like helping them? And Moses says, we try, but some people, we can't make them do anything.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're choosing, to target people who are more functional, who might be able to respond to a question, and the majority or the significant number of people are not able to do it or don't respond, maybe can't respond, and they're not even trying to,
they're too complex.
They're too complex, and it just feels like that is, we have to take care of our neighbors. We have to be better keepers of our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, there were a lot of public comments around this. Somebody says, there's a lot of things you can do, like stop sweeping the camps. Put yourself in these people's shoes. They are struggling for survival, and you're propagating this vicious cycle of ripping what little community and stability they build away from them. Someone's talking about a specific encampment and, quote, the back 40, asking for a delay in sweeping this camp, or at least give people a date or tell them where they can go. We've got this Kalamazoo Street parking lot available now. Like, can folks go there? If you're going to sweep them, have a place for them. Have a plan. Someone else says a federal judge in California recently ruled that camp sweeps are in violation of the 4th and 14th Amendments. Your actions are unconstitutional. Someone else says, thank you to the Public Media Center, folks, for the film festival. It is a wonderful celebration of community and art. And I wish some of you council members had been at the screening of the film, quote, Wood Street, about a camp sweep in Oakland, California. There were a lot of similarities to the Fallen Angels Diedrich Park sweep. Let's help our unhoused neighbors and not terrorize them.
Yeah, and I think what we have to recognize is that we're helping ourselves when we're helping them. And when the city chooses not to help but to sweep, we all get hurt. Like somehow our public welfare system we're stretched. And these people are just more uncertain about their future, and it feels like there's less safety out there. So it just feels like it hurts all of us. And so I want our leadership to really reconsider, like, if you think you're insulated from this, when you're doing this, you're not.
No.
And frankly, we're not. So please, like,
agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got to listen. There's such good. These advocates are really organized, and it's coming through. And I appreciate you reporting on it, because I wouldn't hear about it as much as I do without your podcast here.
Thank you. Yeah, they're very thoughtful, very clear, and just like, a number of different angles. Yes. Like I really appreciate that. Like everybody who says something, they say it a little differently.
Yeah, it's not a script. If they're all just yeah. That can happen too. Yeah.
One last comment here. Someone says, I originally thought that the Nova Pod project was a misdirection from the Diedrich Park lawsuit, but hearing the HRCS folks talk about it, I'm coming around to it, but we're not done asking for more. So, sticking around.
Right on.
Then there were some public comments kind of more specific to the Community Development Block Grant, which is like this one specific HUD, which is Housing Urban Development.
Yep, federal agency. Yep.
Federal agency. So there was like a hearing specifically about that. And somebody said, two comments here. Someone said, I was recently in Missoula, Montana, and that city has a sanctioned place for homeless folks to live. They have a very detailed plan for private and public places that can be used for camping. And then people don't have to pick up and move every day. Like, let's look at that. Somebody else says we need to be thinking more about ADA, American Disability Act compliance when we're thinking about everybody. When we're thinking about homeless folks, unhoused people, because that's a big barrier for people. Is there's not a lot of places to rent that are ADA compliant, or a lot of houses ready to buy.
Yeah, and I think our baby boomers, right? They're the ones that are the majority of our population. I think they're aging, and I think a lot of our homeless and unhoused folks are people who just have fallen through the cracks and are in retirement age, and potentially baby boomers who are, need the ADA compliance.
Yeah. So this first meeting ran an hour and a half late. And at one point, somebody in a wheelchair came up into the chambers. They had their dog with them. They were in their wheelchair. They were, probably there to give a comment, but because of the schedule is all thrown off, they had to leave. Yeah. It's just like they didn't get a chance, So that happened. Next, we're talking about the Shuffle. And the Shuffle is this business that is right on the edge of our parks, Riverfront Park, right on the edge of the river, right on the edge of the river trail. And these folks from Detroit, in a company called Detroit Rising, they're running the Shuffle building, and they've got, I think, 7 restaurants in there, and it can be a gathering space, just like a really nice third space for folks to go to. And they have access for people to go to the bathroom and get drinking fountains, even if that is not widely publicized.
And are they managing it and owning it? Or are they, excuse me,
Yes.
they're just managing it and leasing it right now, right?
That's what's happening. They're managing it and they're leasing it. So back in 2020, the city signed this lease agreement with them. And their company's name is Detroit Rising. And it included some language in the lease that after some amount of time, they would have the option to begin the process of initiating the sale from the city to them. Now is that time. So they want to buy it, and it is in the original lease agreement, the sale price. So there's no wiggle room on the sale price. That is set by this other that these council members, city council signed in 2020. So there's no wiggle room there. And I think it's just over $1 million. It's either 1.2 or 1.4. I kind of figure. So, and these folks from Detroit Rising, the Shuffle leasers, they have invested, lessees? Anyway,
yeah, they're the lessees, yeah.
They have invested $4 million of their own dollars to renovate that building.
Right, which are considered leasehold improvements. That's sort of a normal thing as far as I understand.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. So they did that, and they're currently paying the city $2,000 in rent a month, and that payment amount was also set in this lease agreement that they signed. So that's $24,000 a year, and that is currently going into the Parks Department budget because it is a park property.
Okay, so the Parks Board oversees that property then, or that
the
contract.
Parks Department.
The Parks Department, not the Parks Board, right? The Parks Department. Sorry, yes.
That's fine. Yeah. So in order to sell a park property, any park property that the city owns, it has to go to a city vote, a citywide vote.
Yeah, I remember that from from other properties like the Red Cedar golf course thing. Yeah,
exactly. So first, this went to the Planning Commission Advisory Board, and they voted to approve the sale. Then it went to the Parks Advisory Board, and they did not vote to approve this sale.
Oh, but the Planning Commission did.
Yes.
And they don't oversee it directly. Interesting. Okay.
So now council is voting last night, to put the vote to the citizens or not. It doesn't have to go to the citizens, but if they want to sell it, it has to go to the citizens. But there's nothing that says this vote has to go to the citizens at all. It could just not.
Right.
So council's voting on that. It would go to the August primary ballot if they vote
August of 2026?
This year, coming right up.
Okay.
Yeah. So Councilmember Hussein has a bunch of questions for the city attorney. Can we just sell them the building and not the land under it? No, not really. Can we put restrictive uses in the sale contract? Yes. Do we have the right of first refusal or the right of first purchase? Yeah, we can put that into the contract as well as the sale price there. Will it be up to the mayor how to spend the money we get from the sale? Yes. If the ballot proposal passes, could someone else buy it, not these Detroit Rising folks? And also, yes. So those questions were answered. Councilmember Hussein continues, folks that I've talked about are worried about the city losing control of this property. So I would like to change. So his answer to that is I would like to change the ballot language to take out the specific phrasing, quote, the sale of the property is in the best interest of the city. And I'd also like to add more, quote, layman's terms to the description of the property. Because, what it is in the language is just the GPS coordinates that legally describe where on the globe it is located. He's like, no, we need to say that it's between Michigan and Genesee and the river. So everyone is fine with these two adjustments. And again, the adjustment is taking the verbiage out. The sale of the property is in the best interest of the city. So it's not going to say that anymore. Everyone is fine with that.
Yeah. And so who is the city? Is the city the people? Is the city the...
It's the city is the city.
It's the city. my hunch is it's probably not the people who are going to benefit. And yeah, we'll get there maybe. Yeah.
So great. Ryan Cost is like, the property manager keeps talking about how the city needs to keep their word. And by initiating this process, we have done our legal obligation now, and that is to start this process. So the process has been started, and now it can end. He says, I think that this is going to be a rotten deal for the citizens. I'm not voting for it. These folks said that they would continue to lease and operate the shuffle without the sale. So great, do that. There's some public comment on this. People say the information that is going to be distributed to the public about this issue is only going to be from the city administration or the Chamber of Commerce. The people opposed to it are not going to have the funds to send out mailers to give the other side of the story. This is, if you want a biased vote, this is it. If you want an unbiased vote, you need to say no now. The buyback will be virtually impossible. The city doesn't need to be selling public parkland to private entities.
Amen.
Someone says, are there invisible signs on all city property that say for sale? What is our vision, plan, and goal for the city? Someone else says, the shuffle business has unpaid taxes, and now we're selling this property to them below market rate. Why? We voted for you, council members, to be the stewards of the property in Lansing. If you can't help the people, how can you help the businesses? Someone says, and this is in response to something that Councilmember Clara Martinez said in a prior meeting. When the shuffle folks gave a presentation, she said, it sounds like you're just asking us to practice democracy and put this vote to the people. And so in response to that, somebody says, we are practicing democracy right now by talking to you. We voted for you. We don't need to put everything on the ballot. Like, our obligation has been fulfilled. Let's move on. Somebody else says, right now, affordable housing units are going for $1,400 or $1,500 a month. It is insane that they are only paying $2,000 a month for that huge property. That is an insane deal. We need to be trying to make money for the city, and they need to pay a reasonable price.
Oh my gosh. So wise. Yes. Well said.
Then, and someone is in support of the shuffle. They think it should go to the ballot. They say, we have a great thing going with the shuffle. This is the highest and best use for the community at this space. Let's help them stabilize their financial position long term. We're not threatening the parks, and the city doesn't need to be a landlord. So 6-1. Everyone versus Ryan Cost. Council votes to put this on the ballot. So if approved, the final sale will come back to council again before it goes into, like, actual happening.
Okay.
So that was that issue.
Wow. Sounds like I think the public commenters probably had a lot of what I want to share, which are questions like, will the citizens actually benefit? Or, who's the cities and the city's interest? Mm-hmm. And it always feels like we privilege the Chamber of Commerce. That public comment said it very well. The other side of the story will stay in the shadows. Mm-hmm. And it feels like it's just word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And there's just too many people who don't get to hear that word of mouth. It's just hard.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that the people will be informed and make an informed vote. And so democracy, once again, feels like it privileges those who have money and those who have the megaphone, so to speak, or the newscast, the news outlets. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like we're, once again, we're losing a revenue stream and, frankly, a control over something that is parkland, even if it is landlord. Like, part of me is like, well, wait a minute. Like, why is it parkland then? Maybe it should be like switched to, I don't know, human resources. Like, maybe a different department that should run it. I don't know about the Lansing Housing Commission, but like it just feels like, we should not put everything up for sale. Mm-hmm. Like, our public spaces are, are precious and public. Yeah. So it's like all of us. And so it just feels like, and one more time, I was impressed that the deep green thing fell through. I'll just say that. Like, didn't feel like,
I know.
I wasn't sure that was going to happen the way it did, and it did.
Right.
So maybe there's some hope, but gosh, that was a hard fought battle. That, again, which I listened to through your podcast. I only know through the podcast here, so yeah.
Thank you, MC. Thanks for your support.
You got it, Jill.
Next, we have the issue of council writing a letter regarding voting rights. So Councilmember Cost has brought this letter, and I wish they would say, who is this letter to? Are they mailing this? It seems a little bit like in that Office episode where Michael Scott is like, I declare bankruptcy. Like, so anyways, we are writing this letter. Hopefully it will get sent. I don't know. So the letter is like a number of other states, including Kansas, Florida, Mississippi, South Dakota, and Utah. And at the federal level, the president has introduced a bill to create a more restrictive voting process. So it's already happening in a few states, and they're trying to make it a federal thing. And the restrictive process would be folks must present birth certificates or passports when registering to vote, and additional documentation at the polls when casting their votes. The letter is saying we already have fair and secure registration and voting rules, and these changes, quote, would disproportionately impact married women who have changed their names, rural voters, people experiencing homelessness, and low-income voters. So let's not do this.
Not to mention those who have dead names or choose
yes.
to potentially say, hey, no, I'm no longer, that's not how I identify. So It feels like that's also part of what they're trying to target.
Exactly.
That population.
Yeah. That wasn't in the specific verbiage in the letter, but you're right. Public comment, people from many organizations, the League of Women Voters, Michigan Country, Common Cause for Democracy, and election workers, where they are saying this will disenfranchise current citizens and create additional burden for election workers. This is voter suppression. We have robust safeguards already. These bills are aimed to be a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. Voter fraud has never to date endangered the outcome of any U.S. election. This person says, whenever I'm talking to young women, I tell them, do not change your name. You never know what these guys are going to do.
And frankly, even to the guys, like, you don't know what, whoever your spouse is, right?
I know. Yeah.
And yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. So that was that issue. Next, we're talking about parking. So, some parking officials are here to present 2 requested ordinance changes for metered parking. We currently have from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. that we're enforcing parking, and they want to change it from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And for paying your parking tickets, currently you can pay a reduced rate if you pay it within 2 hours in person, and they want to change that to be the reduced rate you have until midnight on the day of issuing, and you can pay it on the onlines. So these recommendations, plus a few others that haven't made it into like the council meeting, have come out of a parking study done by some consulting firm. Councilmember Hussein says, I've gotten some correspondence from the Downtown Lansing Inc. in support of these changes, but what they really want is marked loading zones and free 15 minutes parking for like in front of businesses. And the parking people are like, yes, well, we don't have, quote, the infrastructure for the free 15 minutes yet, but maybe next year. So some public comments here. Someone from the Old Town Commercial Association says, I'm in support of these 2 changes, but, quote, shoppers don't plan their day around parking enforcement, so we would prefer to see actually 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., so take off 5 to 6 as well as the time of parking enforcement. Old Town businesses are being, quote, poached by Eastwood Town Center, where they're saying there is parking galore. Come over here. And somebody else says we need loading zones. Someone else from Downtown Lansing Inc. says we have been asking for this 15-minute free parking for years. Quote, we are desperate for 15-minute free parking. And a resident in a different somebody else says, I hate coming downtown because of the parking situation. And somebody else has a different parking quandary. So they live in the neighborhood east of Washington Ave, across from the new public safety facility. And they're like worried that there's not going to be free parking for that facility and that the workers there are going to be parking in their neighborhood. And they don't want that.
we're in a transition time. Like I think we're trying to build up the density in the downtown area so that there are more people who say, I don't care about parking, right? Car parking, right? Like, yeah. And but I think we still have a lot of people who are car centric, and it's neither right nor wrong. It just is, right? And I think, yeah, until we get that density downtown where people choose to live in an area without a car, we will have this dilemma and this sort of like both. Yeah, we have to comply with both, or we have to somehow make both populations happy. Like we have to build the infrastructure with bike parking, and I don't know, like make it possible for people to walk places, right? With nice sidewalks or things that are important in like in these little micro towns, like Rio Town, Old Town, downtown. Yeah, it feels like it's a both. I think unfortunately we have to do both until we have something where like we can focus on one population, which is I think less car centric population, but there's not enough of us yet, of us here yet in the Lansing area. Yeah,
we are not our cars.
We are not, and yet there's so many people who identify with them, and frankly, it's because I think there's just mobility issues. This is where it's like it's one of those tricky things. Is like there's people who just don't know that we have enough healthy bodies or bodies that are healthy enough to actually do it 4 seasons in Michigan. So it's a little bit of a dilemma.
Yeah. Then we have liquor store ordinance updates. So they're defining what a liquor store is, and that is a business licensed by the Liquor Commission with over 50% of their sales from liquor or nicotine products to be consumed off premises. So that's your definition. And secondly, they must be 2,500 feet between one liquor store and the next, as the crow flies or the pedestrian walks. And they've added a definition of liquor store to their commercial land use and special land use zoning tables, and that also says that no outdoor seating is to be allowed at liquor stores. The mayor says, thanks for doing this. There's also some public comment saying thanks for these updates.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I think because I think there's predatory kind of positioning, and like it's not hard to see that there's a density of those types of stores. Thank you for the definition in parts of downtown that I'm like,
Yeah, in public comment, some people were like, no one else wants to be next to a liquor store. It's like once you have a liquor store there, it's like you're just attracting other liquor stores. Like other businesses don't want to be around them.
It's like gambling. It just feels like, there's some sort of addiction in it. Like the people that are opening those stores somehow like prey on people with those addictions. And it just feels like there's a demographic who, don't need another liquor store.
Right.
Let's give them an alternative. Let's give them something different.
Yeah.
Even if they're asking for it, frankly. Right? That's the addict in them, not the healthy person in them. That person that is alive and well in them too. Excuse me, maybe just not well. Still alive.
Yes, yeah.
But that addict is not the only thing that is inside them. And so I think we need to see beyond that.
Give them an opportunity to fill that other part of themselves.
Yeah, and be a whole person, not just the addict.
Yeah.
Right? That's something. Yeah.
Next, there is a trash claim appeal that is somewhat interesting. So there were also a grass fee and a rental registration fee appeal. Both of those were denied, but this trash claim came through the Committee on City Operations, and the committee thought it should be granted because the property owner did do a pretty good job of admitting that there was trash and cleaning it up, and this is rare. So, for this vote, Martinez and Spatafor vote no, and the other 5 vote yes, that he should be forgiven his fees. And Councilmember Martinez says she voted no because she did not want to, quote, set a precedent. And we've heard this line before on other issues from other council members. And there was one public commenter at the end who said, quote, justice is the precedent. It is your job to look at these things on a case-by-case basis if you're never going to have anyone be able to appeal these claims. Why even go through the song and dance? The man did the work, read the Constitution, review your constitutional principles, and give people their due process. That was an exciting comment. That was near the end. This was, again, like a 5-hour meeting, so nice to have some fiery comments at the end. A few more wrap-up comments. There was one public hearing on a make safe or demolish property. In this house, the person was there, and they had a very sad story. They said, I spent years fixing this house up on my own, and I was letting an unhoused person sleep on the porch. They lit a candle. It caught the porch on fire. The fire department came. There's tons of water and smoke damage. And when I was talking to you guys at one of the committee meetings, you said I could put the house in my name and then I'd be able to do the work myself. But when I did that and I went to the building department, they told me I had to hire a contractor. I have the money to fix this house myself. I don't have the money to hire a contractor. Like, what the what? And they were like, we don't typically respond to comments during this, but like, thanks for coming. Like, seriously? They have started the process on doing a moratorium on data centers in the city, so that's upcoming. A few people said thanks for that. Somebody said that data centers raise the temperature in their area. Up to 6 miles out, there can be a rise in temperature from these data centers. So
yeah, it creates a microclimate. We already have them because of asphalt. Like,
yeah,
asphalt doesn't even generate anything, you know?
Yes.
And concrete, for that matter.
There's a lot of microclimates being made by our infrastructure. Good point. Fenner Nature Center director was there, and he's saying, I want 2 projects to be funded with Parks Department capital improvement money. He wants their Maple Grove Pavilion, which is a gem and banner destination for field trips of the city's lower income kids. And he also wants their parking lot repaved. Yeah. He says it's a false argument that we shouldn't get both. And so this is my added context. There's $2.1 million in that capital improvement funds for parks, and they're asking for $900,000. Last year, they also got some money, but they haven't seen the work done from this money they got last year. And so let's do it. So he's advocating for Fenner Nature Center.
Yeah, which is our Fenner Nature Center, which is public parkland.
It is.
Which is so important to remember that. And yeah, I mean, this is where I'm torn. Like, yeah, I don't want to pave a park. And my understanding is that they have done some real feasibility around this. Like, it's not like they can just put gravel in. It's not like there are people who have spent time trying to find an alternative that might actually be like, I don't know, like a porous solution or so that we don't have like a non-permeable surface in our park,
right,
where there's runoff and all sorts of other stuff.
Right.
They've done some good work. I think we should trust them and understand, frankly, that if they say they need it, they need it.
All right. Last but not least, someone says we should make Malcolm X's birthday a city holiday, which is May 19th.
Absolutely.
Best dressed was an older commenter with a shiny, buttery yellow bow tie, a soft, light gray jacket, and a twisty, polished wood branch walking cane. If anyone in that room was a wizard, it was him.
That's so great.
You never know. This episode is sponsored by my many Patreon supporters, including UMC. So thank you to my one new member, Brad, from the last episode. Thank you, Brad. Join the Patreon to hear some great bingo gossip from last night's meeting. There's some good stuff.
All right. I'll tune in.
Any wrap-up comments from you?
I was thinking about, you were reading the letter that was sent, and we don't know to whom.
Right.
But it was around the federal voting restrictions.
Yeah.
And I was thinking how grateful I am to be in a city where we have a clerk who has some control over what we can do, and sort of because I think during this episode you also recognized that he was doing some outreach and doing some unusual things, which I think also helps mitigate some of that stuff that's happening at the federal level. And so just recognizing that we have some actions, not just a letter, that are happening. And thanks for doing this, Jill.
Yeah, thank you. Any compost shout outs you want to say?
I love my compost.
Compost Week is coming up.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, it's Earth Day tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
So go see at the Allen Neighborhood Center. Mike Dombrowski will be there for Eastside Compost, giving I think a Compost 101.
The next meeting will be in 2 weeks on May the 4th. Be with you.
Whoop, whoop.
And our guest will hopefully be Dana Watson, former East Lansing City Council member.
I know her.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, MC.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
And thank you to the Public Media Center for letting us record with you. And thank you all for listening.